to stipulate a number of charts that would be good for your table. But what you should pay attention to is, well, does this number actually tell the story? Do the categories make sense? If you are creating bins, do the bins make sense? And can people look at this? Is it useful for the eye, or is this going to be a pain in the eye for most people? I find out that if I have more than 6-7 bars on my graph, it starts becoming a problem. It starts becoming a problem. But of course, I've seen people who've done, who have more bars, or people who would even not do more than 4 or 5 bars. But ultimately, I think what's most important is to be sure that it tells your story. You don't have word access, and when you look at it, when people look at it, they can look at it at a glance and get an impression of what you're trying to communicate. I hope that helps.
Yes, thank you, Doctor. It's clear.
Richard Chukwu, please.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening, yeah.
Please, I wanted to ask, is cumulative incidence same as incidence rate?
So cumulative incidence is same as incident proportion. So when most people are talking about incidents, they are talking about the number of new cases that you have in a population at a period, at a period in time.
Is that clear?
I'm a bit confused because I've seen incidence rate defined the same way cumulative incidence was defined here. So that's why I'm confused.
So I think there's also cumulative incidence density, which is what people are thinking about when they're thinking about cumulative incidence proportion, right? So if I'm understanding what you're saying correctly, yeah, the incidence rate is incidence proportion. The incidence rate has the total time as a denominator. And one of the things that we talked about in one of our previous courses was when you see a rate, then time is a factor in the denominator, right? Unlike if it's an incidence proportion, then it's the number of people that's the factor in the denominator.
Okay, I'm clear now. Thank you.
Yeah, so we explained this in more detail, and we might be able to share the materials for that course. You might be able to look at the videos in more detail. Tai, you want to ask a question? Yeah.
Thank you.
Shamsuddin, do you still have a question?
Okay. Doc, I don't really have a question, but just to thank you for this wonderful session. Like we all know that data is the new oil, and for any oil to be useful, you have to refine it and in order to make good use of it. Maybe you convert it to gas and maybe plastic and other things. So for me, I think this is something that a lot of people will be willing to pay quite a lot of money to in order to get this knowledge. So for us, I think we are privileged to have to be in this wonderful session of yours. And I just want to appreciate you for your time and for the time you have given in to this wonderful presentation, and for also agreeing to share this presentation with us. And I look forward to more interesting classes ahead. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Hello.
Yes.
Yeah. Good evening. Sorry for the delay. Yeah. It's not really a question, but just some kind of clarification, and it's about the incidents. And during the lecture, the denominator there was because in the slide, I saw something like a cohort, like your cohort. So basically, the population at risk are just the cohort, right? The population, the number for people that I'm studying. Just some kind of clarity about that.
For which measure are you talking about?
For the incidence.
You're talking about the cumulative incidence here.
Cumulative incidence, you've got, like if you look at the tests, typically in a cohort, and during your presentation, you were using the word risk. So basically, the risk is just my cohort, which is my study population, the number of people I'm studying, or is it really different?
No, so in many cases, it is just the same. I mean, the number of people in the population, there are situations where it might not be the same, but I think that as we move on in the course, we would understand that much better. Yeah, especially when you're looking at infectious disease studies, there are situations where there are going to be people in the general population who you would not be able to count as people at risk. But for the purpose of this conversation, I mean, let's just take it as the population that you're studying.
Okay, yeah, thanks.
Christiana, you have a question? Christiana? Akinomi?
Thank you very much for this presentation. I've really learned a lot. And I must say very thank you for the presenters and the moderator. So my own question, I can see that a lot of questions have come up on the cumulative incidents, which I also share. But with the explanation that you have already given, and with subsequent exposure to more lectures, we're going to be clearer, because it's as if it's a new thing to hear cumulative incidents and with individuals at risk being the denominator. But one other thing I have is this SPSS and R thing, but R, I'm green about it. So I'm like, are you going to make clarification? Would it be better to get new things that I've not even learned at all? So are you going to give us, some were already asking for the two. Is it possible to have the two? Because the more you have, the better, if possible. So what do you have as response to this? Thank you.
Just to be clear, are you asking if we're going to give you access to the software?
I think it's one of it. Am I going to be having access?
So
or are you going to put us through the two of them?
R is free, and you're going to have access to, R is free. So in the workshops, you're going to be taught how to download your R and be able to use, and be able to use that for the purposes we're using it for in this study, in this course. For the SPSS, I don't think that we're going to be providing access to SPSS, but you would get guidance about how to access, how to be able to, how to be able to find SPSS. And I know that so many people have access to SPSS anyways already, but I don't think that as part of this course, we will be providing access to SPSS in particular. But R is free, and we'll guide people on how to gain access to R.
Yeah, I think one of the questions people have really in relation to that is whether they can join both labs. So yeah, so I think that when I was explaining, I said people should make up their minds which ones they want to use, but we will allow you to participate in both SPSS and R. The issue is that we want you to also decide what time of day, so that you're stuck in one group and you can follow the same instructors throughout. So if you're taking SPSS, and it's maybe the Saturday 10 a.m. one that you're doing versus the Saturday 6 p.m. one, rather than jumping from morning to afternoon sometimes, because basically that just gives us more opportunity to, it gives us more control of who is joining what sessions. That's all that I was also trying to. So people will be able to join both. I see we have some more raised hands. We can take them.
So thank you for the response. Thank you very much, sir.
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
So I think we'll take the last two and then we can wrap.
Thank you for the presentation. I just want to ask about the during the explanation and the poll, the example that was given, the blood pressure, we took the answer as ordinal variable, but in the slide that was given, it was the blood pressure was given as continuous variable. So I don't know if it can be both or that of the slide was a mistake. Thank you.
Yeah, I will, this one?
Yes, that's the answer to the poll. But for the slide, it was given, the blood pressure was given as an example of a continuous variable.
Okay, I see what you mean.
Okay.
So, yes, so, there are times when you have continuous variables that you can, for the purpose of your analysis, you can categorize. So for instance, let's say weight, weight can be a continuous variable in the sense that you can have K2 weight 3.5 kg, 3.6, 3.62, 3.61, 6. But there are times when you want to analyze, and for one reason or the other, you need this to be a discrete variable. And sometimes what you can do is to categorize it and say 3.5 to 4 is category 1, is one category. 4 to 4.5 is another category of birth weight. 4.5 to 5 is another category. So even though the underlying variable is fundamentally continuous, you can create categories out of it. And for most continuous variables, you can actually create categories out of it. Do you understand? Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you very much.
Yeah, and if you look at the example, that's exactly what Dr. Mata explained is what happened in that example, where we had the continuous blood pressure and then we created categories out of it. Okay, I think there's one more person whose question we can take. Aminu. Aminu.
Good evening, sir. Good afternoon.
Same.
All right. I just want to make a suggestion regarding the participation in both classes.
Okay.
I think since they will be recorded sessions, so people can be able to participate in other classes at their own convenient time, and then they'll concentrate more on the one they have more interest in.
Yeah. So we will let them participate freely. Also, you think that we shouldn't split them into groups?
No. I mean, even the groups that, since there's going to be recorded sessions, so even if you're not in this group, since the sessions will be shared via email, you'll be able to catch up what other groups are doing.
Yeah. Okay. So people can watch. Yeah. That's a good suggestion. So
yes.
we will split into groups and then share the recordings. People can follow the other recordings if they like. Okay.
Yes. Thank you, sir.
Thanks for sharing that. So there's one more person. Christiana, are you still here? You want to ask your question? If not, yeah, we can wrap up. Thank you very much, everyone. Looking forward to seeing you soon, hopefully maybe Thursday, for the first hour lab. Otherwise, on Sunday, if you have any questions, concerns, please reach out. We have sent out the first set of homeworks. It probably should be hitting your email already by now. If it hasn't, then just give it a little time. We'll also share information about the office hours. Somebody asked about that. So we'll reach out about office hours soon. Okay. Thank you very much. Chief, any other thoughts?
No, I think we're good. We're good.
Okay.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Ebua, any final thoughts?
I don't think Ebua is still here.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much, guys. Take care.
I'm here.